Barrel or not, coming off of last week's red wine and Coke conversation. Ketchup on eggs.
Oh, such a hand dragging on the roof, straight out of retirement, straight into Chopu barrel.
What?
Big barrel,
Oh
huge barrel.
no.
I'll double down. I'll go so much ketchup on my eggs, and then I'll put Cholula on top of that.
Wow.
Yeah,
I could
I'll
not
dump
disagree
that.
more.
I will do like barely cannot eat eggs unless they're smothered in ketchup, drowned in ketchup.
You
The
are a
ketchup egg ratio
child.
is like 50-50. Yep.
So what style of eggs are you talking?
Any style. Like I'll scramble an egg and obviously throw ketchup on there. I will a sunny side up, ketchup on. I will easy over, ketchup on. The only style of ketchup or only style of egg I don't ketchup is a hard boiled egg or soft
Wow.
boiled egg. Any other
Wow.
egg, I'll stinking put ketchup on a eggs Benedict that already has hollandaise on it.
Gross. I could
Delicious.
not disagree with you more ardently.
I
And the only caveat I will give you is an egg sandwich.
oh
But
yeah.
even that egg sandwich shouldn't need ketchup if it's properly done. Like if there's an aioli on it and some vegetables or whatever, like that should exist on its own. But if it were like a really basic ham and egg on toast, I could go with ketchup on that and hot sauce, but that's it.
I will go ham, egg, cheese, English muffin, and then on the side, I pour a lot of ketchup, and then into that, I dump a lot of mayonnaise. Then I mix it up, and then I dip that sandwich right in there.
Mayo on an egg sandwich is fantastic, but if I have breakfast potatoes on the plate and there's ketchup goes with those potatoes and ketchup happens to touch the eggs, I will not argue with that combination of things, but the ketchup is for the potatoes in that scenario.
You take the bottle and you squirt ketchup over the whole, you cover the plate in ketchup. You're happier.
So ketchup has very, very few applications in my life. And there's certain things that it's essential with, but the problem with the egg for me is that the egg yolk is actually the greatest sauce on the planet. Sauciers in the finest kitchens at Michelin restaurants in France who dedicate their lives to making sauces cannot beat an egg yolk. An egg yolk is incredibly versatile. You could put it on a burger, you could put it on so many things, and it adds a luxury and a depth of flavor that you cannot get in any other way. And it's natural. And so I think that like a poached egg is kind of the best version of an egg. And once you're scrambling, you've already kind of disintegrated the greatest part of the egg. And so if you're adding ketchup to that, then I guess, you know what? It's all a wash at that point. But if you're going to have an egg, it should be poached. You should be getting that yolk, and there's no way to improve upon the yolk. The ketchup is a complete disgrace at that point.
They dance. They are the ketchup and the yolk form a swinging partnership that you just can't beat elsewhere. The dance between them. You have the subtle like base flavor of the yolk with the spiky tang of a ketchup. Mm,
Too sweet, too much
so
sugar in
good.
ketchup. That's the
You
problem.
salt it. You salt it all real too. A lot of
Do
salt.
you have a preferred brand of ketchup?
Yes, I do even. I like Heinz Organic, the one
Yeah.
that because it's made with sugar instead of corn syrup.
So I made cocktail sauce the other day,
Hmm.
and I didn't have we generally have Heinz in the fridge, and we were out. And I was like, oh shoot, I usually have backups of everything. So I go into the cupboard to grab the backup, and the only backup I had
Off-brand?
was Trader Joe's
Yeah,
brand.
no. No, 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 no.
And so I know I don't like it like with French fries, the Trader
Yeah,
Joe's brand ketchup, because it's like a darker
it's weird.
tomatoey flavor.
It's weird.
However, I used it for the cocktail sauce. It was vastly superior cocktail sauce.
Sure, I'm sure that it's like I could see the Trader Joe's. I could see off-brand ketchups, and by off-brand, I don't mean generic. I mean not Heinz. I could see all of those being ingredients in something else.
Yeah.
As standalone, there's
Yeah.
one ketchup and it's Heinz.
As Hidden Valley is the standalone ranch and
Yep.
everything else falls short, Heinz is the best ketchup as a standalone. But I'm telling you, when you do a cocktail sauce, use the Trader
TJ's.
Joe's version.
Okay.
It was phenomenal.
Good to know.
It's like really shocked by that.
Do you like your on a sliding scale from huge to minuscule? Where do you like the size of your shrimps?
On the larger size.
Really? Oh
I
man,
I
a
don't love
bay
a
shrimp.
coloss. I don't like, oh, really?
I love a bay shrimp. Bay shrimp is by far my favorite of all of the shrimps.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even in cocktails, like if you would just,
Anything. A
wow.
cocktail, because you just like get a spoonful of bay shrimps and dip that into the cocktail sauce. Mm-hmm.
I think are there good quality bay shrimp? Because I only think of it as being just like the Vienna sausage compared to a uh
Hot dog.
kielbasa.
Kielbasa. I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think that like properly in the East Coast where the bay shrimp makes its home, I think they're, I mean, delicious. They're like lightly sweet.
Hmm. I'll have to revisit it. I don't think
Yeah.
I've encountered a good bay shrimp.
Revisit the bay.
Okay, will do. Add that to my list of things. All right, barrel or nah? Acupuncture.
I've never done, have I ever done? I must have done acupuncture. I'm going to say barrel. Anything that Chinese men with long Fu Manchu mustaches do must have validity.
All right. Well, I did my first session yesterday.
Do you feel anything
Yeah, it was kind of incredible.
like better?
Fantastic, actually.
Was it to solve a specific problem or just to do acupuncture?
It was not, it started, so we've been trying to have a kid for, let's say, 9 months, second kid, right? And so somebody in Lauren's life mentioned acupuncture as being like good for fertility, or they have like a way of doing it that's good for fertility. So she went and she had a phenomenal experience from like a relaxation and de-stressing standpoint. And so she recommended I went. She actually made an appointment for me to go. So I went, and so fertility is kind of because I guess there's a version for males that is good for fertility too. They can do certain things. But through the intake process, we addressed like stress levels, and I'd had some weird nerve pain in my arm and TMJ that I had been experiencing, grinding my teeth at night, kind of a thing. And so she addressed all of those things and explained, she did a really thorough job of explaining the science
That it's not just
behind
voodoo.
it. It's
Yeah.
not just voodoo. No, it's based in, I mean, they talk about there's meridians in your body and blah, 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 but the meridians are just nerve pathways, is what they're talking about, that are identified in Western science as well. But then there are differentiations in the way that like organs, all the organs, they have a yin and a yang component. So like the liver is the yin and the gallbladder is the yang. And so they understand the functioning in the same way of the organs that Western medicine does, but they also have their own interpretation of what they mean in relation to one another. And they also have an association to emotions with them in the acupuncture practice, or I don't know if it how you would
Chinese
classify
medicine
it.
in general.
I think so. Yeah, I think you could take it broader like that. So kind of understanding that the organ has these emotional associations with it. And if you're feeling, let's say, stress or anger, then that is related to, I think the gallbladder. I don't know specifically, but I think that's what she was saying. And
Your
so
bile.
yeah, and so we can kind of put needles in this part of the nervous system that are related to that organ, and then you will feel less stress or anxiety or whatever it is. And then ultimately, she put 26 needles in my body, and then I laid there for 45 minutes and had a pretty transformative experience. Like it was
Great to hear.
bizarrely, yeah, it was like bizarrely more relaxing than a massage would be.
Could you like theoretically function? I mean, could you and I go get acupuncture and then do a show while we're under the needle just to see if it's a much more quality show?
It would be, I think, detrimental to the experience of the acupuncture. Like you want to be present and dead silent and relaxing through it all.
Okay, but what about listening? Should people having acupuncture listen to our podcast while doing their acupuncture?
Also, probably no. I think those things should be separate. And even just like I got out of the appointment and Lauren was texting, like, hey, how did you like it? Blah, blah. I didn't even want to reply to her text message. I
Because
just wanted to
you were
like
in bliss.
in bliss, soak it in. I don't want to even mentally process the
You
experience
just wanted
yet.
to
I
feel the feels.
feel the feels.
I
So
like
then
it.
I
Okay.
jumped on the 405 and sat in traffic.
And just then I paddled out and didn't catch a wave at my local while everybody surfed around me.
But
Uh,
I'm advocating for it.
okay, I gotta figure out a reason to go get acupuncture.
I mean, general health and wellness, I think, is good enough of a reason, but I've got a second appointment scheduled. So I'm going to go back. I think there will be lasting. It'll be interesting to see how it lasts over the course of 2 weeks, and then over the course of multiple treatments to see what the long-term effects are. I don't think you should expect to see necessarily like a radical difference on day two, but I'll report back
Great.
as we continue the process of
Can't
treatment.
can't wait to hear.
And then the fertility thing, we'll see if there's results in that as well
Can't wait
over
to hear
time.
about that either.
Yeah, give you the full lowdown. Okay, final barrel or not related to, and also related to Kelly Slater and his confessional video with Surfline that we discussed last week. But barrel or not, ayahuasca.
Mm. Oh man, this is a tough one. I'm gonna say no barrel on this one. I'm gonna say usually like go adventure, go out there. This one seems like I'm gonna say if you are a Amazonian, if you grew up in the Amazon, if you're a Brazilian and your great grandfather grew up in the Amazon, you go have your ayahuasca. That stuff is meant for you. You, as a weird white dude from Europe somewhere, or in Kelly's case, from Syria, that thing has not been in any of your ancestral like bloodstream ever. And now you're just going to start introducing it because, like, no, I'm going to say there's certain things for certain people. Ayahuasca is for South Americans. Let them have it.
It, it's it's become trendy,
Yeah.
obviously. It's a big kind of I don't know, like I think of Venice, like kind of hippie enlightenment and wanting to experiment with these modern, I mean, they're not modern, ancient
Ancient
plant
modalities.
plant ceremonies, plant medicine ceremonies. And now there's places that obviously host retreats. They're essentially tourist ayahuasca experiences.
Kelly Slater's an investment partner in one, for pity's sake.
Yeah, exactly. He's on the board at Rhythmia in Costa
I think
Rica.
he invested too. I think that came out a while ago.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like I understand the idea to want to have uh transformative experiences that address trauma from the youth and needing to, but it feels a bit extreme to me. Like I feel like there's a bunch of steps of therapy that I would need to take before I'm booking a flight to Costa Rica. And maybe somebody's trauma is so significant that you need extreme measures to address it and to get to the bottom of things. But I don't know. For me, it feels a little bit more scary than it feels worth.
And I'll say exactly to caveat on top of yours. Yes, if you like, have no doubt that it is ayahuasca is clearly a thing and it, works wonders for some people. I have no doubt at all. Like people
Yeah.
need, but no, it's not everybody, man. It's like a tiny slice of the population actually needs that. For everybody to go in and start chiming on, I'd like to try it too. No, man, if you are like of European stock, there's things for you. It's called whiskey and beer and stuff like that. If you are of, like if you're of African stock, there's stuff for you. It's called, I don't even know what African, well, I'm sure there's some like good African something that you could really dig into. But for, unless you are South American, I'm going to say, don't mess with it. It's not for you.
It's you might unlock something you don't want to unlock. That's the
Yeah.
other thing is whoever talks about the repressed childhood trauma that you did not want to unpack. Like maybe it's repressed for a reason and you should never address it. Just move on with your life.
I mean, I'm going to just say, look at Kelly Slater. If you really need a before and after, do you want to be like post ayahuasca Kelly? I'm just wondering about does I mean maybe a lot of people would. I personally wouldn't want to be post ayahuasca Kelly Slater.
I've talked to people who have had great experiences with ayahuasca and are advocates of it. And so I'm open to that feedback as well. But for me personally, it feels like a bridge too far. Um, so I'm going to go with assess it on your own. For me personally, I'm going a no barrel on the experience. The
Yeah.
vomiting and the diarrhea in a group environment is already like a real no, hard no for me.
And also, and for those who like, you don't do that way. You'd go micro. If you're quote microdosing anything, you're not doing it. Oh, you're a tourist and get out of the room to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reason why I bring it up is also like things become mainstream when they really should be fringe sometimes. Like
Yep.
there is a reason and there is something, like you said, the medicine works, like I'm convinced the
Yeah,
medicine
for
does
sure.
work.
No doubt.
But you also don't want to do chemotherapy unnecessarily. Like chemotherapy works, but you don't want to just go radiate if you have a cold. And so I'm putting ayahuasca in that where it's highly effective and there's people who have transformative experiences, but also
It should be
people
mainstream.
some people don't need transformative experiences. Some
Yeah.
people just need a little bit of therapy. They need betterhelp.com for a period of time for 3 months. And then
Yep.
they need to be done with that therapy. And so ayahuasca, while it's become trendy and Kelly Slater is, having important experiences for him, not necessarily for you.
If you heard about ayahuasca from a tastemaker, let's say, and you're
Yeah.
considering trying it, there's your first clue that is probably not for you. Like
Yeah.
if you have like a personal shaman somehow that says, "Hey man, see the trauma in your life. Come walk with me the ayahuasca way." Then maybe that could be something, but otherwise, if you learned about it from Joe Rogan, that's probably that's probably not really for you.
Maybe just schedule an acupuncture appointment.
Yeah.
Get you halfway there.